on Amazon Music.
Alexa, lower. Alexa, lower. Alexa, volume up. So here we are. I am Abe Zucca. I just finished an 8-part series of my book, The Unborn Levels of Scientology. And now we will begin Stalin's Closed System of Colossus. If you have subscribed, tell others to subscribe. You can check out my art at zuccagallery.com. I will be going live at least probably 5 times a day until I can find a good time to be consistently going live with. But right now I hardly have anybody watching these videos. I am not that I'm not that famous on YouTube, but if you go on Instagram, you can see a lot of my art. I'm also on X, but just Google the name Abe Zucca, see what you can find. I come up. I'm an accomplished artist and writer. I have a lot of ideas, and it's not going to be the same old crap like majority of channels on here. I almost hate every channel on YouTube, and that's why I'm doing this. I just want to watch my own channel. So let's start with Stalin's Closed System of Colossus. If you want, you can just sit and relax, leave a comment, tell others to subscribe. Let's begin. The scriptural machine, dialectics of delay, translation, and power. Here I stand on the border between two worlds, said Stalin in 1920. You must be somebody to become nobody. Every revolution is a scripture that rewrites its own prophets. The scriptural dynamic of power. Founders, texts, and the Pentecostal rewriting of revolution. Every revolutionary movement produces a scripture, and every scripture produces rivals who compete to define fidelity, heresy, betrayal, and translation. Thus, the Marx-Engels-Lenin sequence becomes a living canon, whose final testament is always unwritten, always delayed, always demanded by circumstance more than by prophets. The text of the founder is not a source of fixed intention, but a field of latent axioms requiring interpretation, amplification, mutation, and socialism in power, because the furnace in which these axioms crack, melt, recombine, and demand reinscription by those tasked with governing in the name of the dead. The spirit-letter tension is not abolished by atheism, but by redistribution, for every party decree becomes the new scripture. Every party decree becomes a new scripture whose letter threatens ossification and whose spirit threatens heresy, and the task of socialist hermeneutics is to keep both alive without allowing either to rule. This book isn't a treatise on socialism, nor does it critique on socialism. It is a poetic intercourse with Stalin and his writings and those that have interpreted Stalin. Every interpreter of the revolution must decide whether to be Moses, Paul, Augustine, or John, lawgiver, missionary, theologian of evil, or apocalyptus. And each of these roles reappears not as dogma, but as function within the machinery of state power. The scriptural machine functions by delay, just as early Christians endure the delay of parousia, P-A-R-O-U-S-I-A, OUSIA. So socialism endures the delay of communism. And in this delay, the interim becomes the real stage upon which new categories, new translations, and new forms of life are forged. Translation is not substitution, but struggle. Each concept resists transfer, each term defends its borders. Each theology distorts its Marxist host, and yet each translation yields new metal, Pentecostal sparks in the crucible of socialist state. Axioms of the Pentecostal state: language, Babel, the crowd, and the tongues of socialism and power. Socialism does not restore the tongue of Adam, it multiplies languages beyond Babel. For every expansion of collective unity produces new local diversities, new dialectics of labor, new idioms of struggle, new phonologies of proletarian soul. The Marxist dream of the universal language is not the recovery of a pre-Babylonian unity, but a approach towards the Pentecostal horizon, where unity manifests through intensified differences, and differences reveals the hidden unity of historical movement. Every socialist phrase, worker, people, comrade, party, possesses a double edge. Its public meaning and its subterranean meaning in the work of revolutionary linguists is to hear the subterranean murmuring without being swallowed by it. The state becomes Pentecostal not when it imposes a single tongue, but when it increases the number of voices capable of speaking within the revolution. Indigenous languages revived, rural dialectics lifted, formerly silent nationalities given script, alphabet hymn. The socialist state is a grammar without a final rule. A syntactic dynamic in which classes, nationalities, cultures, and institutions conjugate themselves in shifting tenses, and to govern is to conjugate the future interior. What shall have been achieved? Every revolutionary project must decide whether it will be Babel, unity at the expense of plurality, or Pentecost, unity through an explosion of plurality. And the path of Stalin, Mao, and the global socialist experiment reveals a preference for Pentecostal proliferation over Adamic homogenization. The Titanic dialectic: transcendence, immanence, party, people. The party is Atlas, the transcendent bearer of the historical sky. The people are the continental plates shifting beneath him. And socialism as power is the earthquake where the plate rise to Atlas's shoulder, forcing the bearer and the born into a new intertwined form. Every state that claims to be socialist must navigate the Promethean temptation to bring fire, direction, consciousness planning from above, while insisting that the fire originates from below. The contradiction is insoluble and therefore productive. The myth of transcendence survives the death of God by relocating itself in the organs of governance. Every committee risks becoming a priesthood, every secretary a pontiff, every decree a secular commandment. The task is not to abolish transcendence, but to fold it into immanent circuits of accountability. The people constitute the immanent ocean, whose waves erode every rigid tower. And yet without some tower, the ocean becomes formless. Thus the dialectic demands reciprocal erosion, reciprocal shaping, reciprocal vigilance. The socialist state is an experiment in abolishing the metaphysical monopoly of transcendence, while preserving the technical necessity of leadership. Its success depends on continual redistribution of altitude between the mountaintop and the valley floor. To grasp the dialectic of a party and people is to grasp the secret rhythm of socialism and power. That transcendence must be humbled without being decapitated, and immanence must be elevated without becoming sovereign. The delayed kingdom. Communism, evil postulate, processing, and the eschatological machine. These are the last 7 statements, axioms for today, this morning. The delay of communism is not a failure, but the world historical workshop in which new axioms are hammered: class intensifications, world divisions, linguistic multiplications, affirmative action, anti-colonial expansion, and the new anthropology of the socialist subject. Every delay demands eschatology, a future that determines the present in reverse. A proleptic kingdom whose outlines shape behavior long before its appearance. Communism functions as this eschatological attractor. The discovery of evil under socialism is not a contradiction but a revelation. Revolution reveals not only the latent good of the masses, but the depths of sabotage, treason, self-sabotage, and the Augustine shadow embedded in the human nature. The socialist subject becomes intelligible only when the Pelagian optimism of early Marxism cracks open under the Augustinian recognition of evil, increases in visibility as virtue becomes more possible. Postulate processing, the highest level of existence in Scientological metaphysics, enters the socialist dialectic not as religion, psychotechnology, but as structural truth. To change a historical postulate is to create a new one, and each new postulate rewrites the conditions of possibility for the next. The real transitional state is not socialism as such, but the recursive loop of unfinishing. Every victory reveals a deeper contradiction. Every construction reveals a buried flaw. Every achieved postulate reveals a higher postulate waiting to be made. The eschatological horizon of communism is neither millenarian nor utopian. It is the continual generation of conditions under which new postulates of life, labor, language, and desire become possible. And then we continue the ideological colossus. Stalin, the scriptural machine, and the totalitarian reason of the West. For him, the idea was the main thing. No great crime is ever committed without the blessing of great belief. Reason, when incarnated in a people, becomes terrible. The closed system of Colossus, on Stalin and his ideologist and his Inca temple coherence of his doctrine. Every dictatorship produces doctrine as a shadow of its own power. But Stalin's peculiarity consists in reversing the polarity. For him, doctrine was not a shadow, but a load-bearing pillar, a polished monolith rising from a single architectonic center, a temple whose joints fit so tightly that even hindsight cannot wedge itself between the stones. The allegation that Stalin had no political thought collapses before the sheer geometric unity of the system he built. It is less a ragged patchwork than an Inca wall, precise, unmortared, meticulously leveled. An illusion of improvisation is produced only by the violence with which he installed the blocks. To treat Stalin's ideas as opportunistic is to confuse the flexibility of tactics with rigidity of foundations. The scaffolding may have shifted, but the inner chamber remains untouched, lit by the same eternal flame. Marxist eschatology transposed into national bureaucratic stone. A doctrine need not create reality in order to determine it. A hallucination can move armies. A mistaken analysis can topple regimes. And a misreading of Hitler's intentions can paralyze the Soviet state, demonstrating that in Stalin's case, the idea was not a disguise for power, but a force capable of overthrowing power's own survival logic. The closed system of Stalin's thought did not float above reality like propaganda's gauze, but was pressed deep into it, carving grooves through which millions were driven. Proof that a delusion believed by the sovereign become a law, and the law believed by the apparatus become a world. That's going to be all for this morning. This is part 1 of Stalin's Closed System of Colossus. I will read part 2 later today. Subscribe, follow, share, go on my Instagram, Google Abe Zucca. Ask questions. I'll see you later.